Hello everyone, welcome back for the first episode of Mermaid, of Making My Mermaid. As I said, I was still thinking what I was going to be using in the little promo, and I knew I wanted to make this tail shape, and I know I want to make a gothic teenager, but I think I might do the mer child just because it's a bit smaller and it'll fit easier on the camera. I'll save the gothic teenager. So what I want to do, just get my parts. Nearly every part of the patterns are cut too, so you've got the front and back to stuff, unless you want to put another arm fin on, and then you would cut 4. So two, you'd have one on the front of the body and one at the back of the body. Just put that arm fin aside for a minute. Now I'm going to just cut a bit outside the line for the tail, the new tail. Now as you see with this, I don't want it to be, because my original was, and I hope you've seen the last video, so you've seen it, it's a good 3 feet, I think. I could put a little bit of the body and then put the tail here, just so as it still stays elongated. But I think for the purpose of this video, I'm just going to completely take this one out. So if you were going to be using this one, this particular tail, you would be joining them there, and you can cut your whole fabric like this. But I think I'm going to make a smallish one. Now, because I'm making the child, the inner line is the stitch line for the child, and the stitch line for the teen is your fabric cutting line. And you're going to have to come out. I can just see, I've already see, this is the thing, make a prototype. So I can already see that what you're going to have to do if you do that is follow the line you're cutting and come back to this outer line, because all of these are going to be the same. All of the black dark line is going to be the same on every pattern. I've decided the tail fins all stay the same sort of size. Right, these are not the best scissors. All right, so as I'm doing the child, there's the dotted line. I am on this cut line, and then as I get round to the outer line, I have to come out to the outer line so my stitch lines match up. So like I said in the last video, I was talking about how you can lengthen, shorten, take out a part. The adult's got the top, a mid bit, another part, and then the tail. So it's quite long. But on this one, you want to be matching up as well as you can the dotted line to the dotted line. So if that means moving it around a little bit so as it's close, so that the seam lines are all lined up. Now I know that this tail is going to not possibly be 100% perfect, so when you're cutting this, you may like to round this a bit more so it's just a bit more cohesive. So one of the suggestions I have is taking a bit of greaseproof or tracing paper and just having it over this particular section so that you can get the curve so it matches. Right, so now I'm ready to lay it on my fabric and cut it out. What you'll do is, I guess there's lots of different people that will be watching this and doing it, so there'll be different skill levels. So someone who's used to making things will know automatically how to do that. I'm going to go through it step by step a bit slowly and help out. So with something like this, if you're going to cut, not have a hole here, not have a gap here to join, if you're going to do it all in one, which I'm going to do, there's going to have to be a little hand span or a spot where you can turn it inside out, whether that's here or in the tail, it's not going to matter. Let me get some material. All right, so I'm just going to go into a few more nitty-gritties of this. My friend Louise gave me a whole bit of collaged material. She'd made a great big wall hanging with words on and things she'd made. And I just used that as the backing, but she also had lots of bits of lace laid over it. So I've used a bit of calico with the lace laid over it and the backing, and I've had them as 3 layers and cut them out, and then when I've sewn them and turned them inside out, that's the backing, and the lace went over the top of the calico. I'm not going to do it for a child. I'm just going to imagine in this particular family that they don't grow into their lace till later. A bit like some of us slow stitches, really. So I'm going to use a bit of calico, and I'm not quite sure if this is going to be big enough. I'm going to have to name her, so I can't just say, let me get that thing out the way. To find a good mermaid name. Bubbles, Sparkle Top or something. See if this is big enough. Okay, so this fits. So I've already got, I know that I've got my stitching line here, so I know that this is not too small. I'll just lay it across here. Feel free to trace this off and use something this is just printer paper from the printer, so feel free to use a bit of tracing paper or something like that. It might be easier to work with, especially if you want to change anything here. I'm just going to pin it. I'll be doing machine stitching for the seams. Just first it's quicker, and second it's probably smaller than I can get it with my hands. So here she is, ready to be cut out. For me, I liked this sort of childlike curved belly, and I'm thinking that I kind of want it to maybe be just a little bit more curved. I think I might use the tail for where just going to mark so I know not to stitch there and there, and that's where I'll turn it in. In fact, it might need, maybe I'll make it just a bit bigger. And just looking at the back here, feel free to edit a bit. If you want a really plump one, make it plumper. I don't know why, I just started making a very long, thin one. Probably watching the mermaid show on TV and kind of saw how long they looked with their tails on. So I might make mine just a bit chunkier through here. And then cut it out. These are a little bit tricky. I ended up with the mother stitching on the additional pieces. I didn't feel that they turned inside out very well. So this is obviously one of my first patterns. So, you know, it's a learning experience. So even though there were ridges here, when I turned it inside out, they didn't seem to show as well. So I kind of felt a little bit like stitching on things to further enhance. I've stitched the arm on so when it's on the wall it sits the way I wanted it to sit. Anyway, that's just something I observed. But you may not want to decorate as much on the child. Up to you. Okay, so now that we've cut it all out, I'll just show you on the other side. If we stitch around the whole piece but leave a gap, then we'll be able to stuff it. Now, I was just thinking then that I used coloured material the last time. I was using up scraps. This time I have got just one colour. And the way I'm going to make this is the way that works for me and may not work for you. You do you. It's a creative project. Just realising I should put the arm fin on. I still want to make it flat on the wall. So I'm only doing 2 arm fins, and cut this one out. I'll just use some smaller scissors for these rounded bits. Once again, as with the fins on the back, these may or may not be easy to do for you. But my idea of having lots of sort of drapey material will kind of cover it if you find that it's not stitching up the way you'd like it to. Okay, so the same with the arm. Going to leave a little gap so you can turn it inside out. I think last time on the adult I kind of left either the top or the bottom open, and I found it quite difficult to turn inside, so I think I'll do it on this longer edge. Make sure I've gone in. So I've just put the marks, ready to stitch. Now, I haven't shown much of me using the sewing machine, but I just wanted to talk about this last little bit, and when you're doing around the head, that it's just important to go pretty slowly, and you might have to make sure your needle's down, lift and just swivel it a little bit, just to get that circular sort of shape. So sorry, it's probably a little bit noisy, but this is the only part that's a bit more fiddly. I'm using a Singer heavy duty machine. I mean, if you wanted to, you could just hand stitch the rest of it. I think we could all end up with weirdly odd shaped heads, but you know, I'm just thinking that doesn't matter, because who knows what a mermaid looks like, really. Okay, so now I'm at the eye, and now we're going to come down in around for the nose. Round to the mouth. Chin. I've come around to the part where the lines are, and I'm just going to just give it a bit more security with a bit of a back stitch, and I'll just take you back over to the other area to show you. Okay, so here are my finished pieces. They're stitched all the way around, just that little roughly 3 centimetre stitch line. There is a gap to turn it inside out, and here I just wanted to make a comment that when I was stitching at the machine, I was going very slowly, putting the needle down, lifting it up, moving the material, just really slowly around those little harder bits, and I didn't quite manage it here. I'm not a perfect seamstress, so that sort of thing is why I ended up saying you can use bits of lace and stuff to, you know, come over this and give the illusion of scales. And I've got my little hole here to turn it inside out. So we'll be back next week for turning them inside out and stuffing them. So I hope you've enjoyed that, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.